I've been a huge fan of Pokemon Draft League content for a few years now, but I've never actually joined one myself. That's why I decided to create my own half-casual, half-competitive league with my friends from the TWOW or 10 Words of Wisdom community. Hence, the TWOW Pokemon Draft League was born. A Pokemon Draft League is a competitive Pokemon format where players, called coaches, take turns picking teams of unique Pokemon and then battle weekly until one coach is declared the champion. In this video, I'll be going over my initial draft picks along with the changes I made to my team early in the season. TWOW Pokemon Draft League has 16 coaches, and my placement in the draft was 9th, right in the middle. For this league, coaches have 120 points to draft 10 to 12 Pokemon. I was scanning the draft board for my round 1 pick when I noticed a drastically underpriced threat. See, TWOW Pokemon Draft League uses the draft board from the Shuckle Premier League, Season 2, a league created by YouTubers Shuckle King and PokeAimMD. However, this board was created just after the Indigo Disc DLC released, meaning that many Pokemon that just came out were priced based on theory rather than practice. And that theory, it turns out, ranked Raging Bolt at only 14 points. Raging Bolt is one of the most powerful special attackers in the format, boasting an absurd 137 special attack, which can be further boosted by booster energy. Thunderclap is its most threatening move, being able to clean up teams of weakened Pokemon and revenge kill anything that doesn't resist it. Paired with great bulk and additional strong stab options in Thunderbolt, Draco Meteor, and Volt Switch for pivoting, Raging Bolt is sure to strike down hard. After my first pick, I decided to check the Smoke On analysis page for Raging Bolt in Draft to see what Pokemon would synergize well with it. I wanted a fast Pokemon which could deal with the ground types that completely blank Raging Bolt. My next pick, Meowscarada, ticks both of those boxes. At 123 speed, Meowscarada gives me a blisteringly fast speed tier. On top of that, Protean boosts up its super diverse move pool, which includes the likes of Flower Trick, Knockoff, Triple Axle, Play Rough, and U-Turn. Lastly, it can set up spikes to wear down the opposing team, which helps Raging Bolt sweep late game. As I was deciding on my third pick, I stumbled across a video by Tone on how to draft in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. One of the cores he drafted around was Garchomp, Meowscarada, and Jirachi, and I figured that Garchomp and Raging Bolt were similar enough, so I took inspiration and decided to pick up Jirachi as my third choice. Jirachi gives my team a crucial steel type, with diverse support moves ranging from Stealth Rock to Wish, Thunder Wave to Dual Screens, and many, many more. Jirachi has all the coverage in the book, and base 100 in every stat is pretty good, allowing me to run either physically or specially offensive or defensive sets to surprise opponents. Despite picking up the steel type myself, I realized I didn't have a way to deal with enemy steel types yet, so my fourth pick was Iron Moth, giving me another fast sweeping threat with base 110 speed and 140 special attack, which becomes even more threatening when I can boost your energy either stat by adjusting my EVs. Fiery Dances and Sludge Waves coming off this thing are no joke. Also, in Draft League, it is mandatory to pick up a grounded poison type to ensure that your team doesn't auto-lose to Toxic Spikes, giving me even more value for this pick. For my fifth pick, I had a few goals in mind. I wanted some hazard control, another Steel-type answer, and something that resisted ground, since Meowscarada doesn't really count as a resistance due to its poor defenses. I was originally going to pick Heracross and Blastoise together, but decided to combine them into the comparatively cheaper Quaquaval. Quaquaval rounds out my Fire, Water, Grass core, and it's a Pokemon that can quickly snowball out of control with Aqua Step to boost its speed and Moxie to boost its attack against unprepared opponents. Finally, as mentioned earlier, Rapid Spin gives this team its first form of hazard removal. Remember how I said I needed a ground resistance? Well, how about something even better? A ground immunity. That's where Galarian Weezing comes in. Galarian Weezing is a fantastic defensive backbone, with its incredible Poison Fairy typing alongside Levitate. With 120 base defense, Will-O-Wisp, Paint Split, and a Rocky Helmet, Weezing will be very annoying for physical attackers to take down. Finally, Weezing gives me another Toxic Spiker, and its Fairy typing also rounds out my Dragon Fairy Steel core. At this point, my draft was looking pretty top-heavy, with my first 6 Pokemon already taking up 90 points, giving me only 30 left to work with. If I was to draft 6 more Pokemon, I'd only have 5 points per pick, so I had to get creative with my low-tier choices. One important type I was missing was ground, so I decided to pick up Sandslash, which seemed decent for its low 4-point value. This pick was originally Gligar, but I swapped it out during the grace period since Gligar lacks any offensive prowess with its 75 attack. Sandslash gave me a decent defensive ground type with good attack, stealth rocks, rapid spin, and knockoff for utility. I also chose Sandslash to become my first Terra captain. See, TWOW Pokemon Draft League uses low-tier Terra rules, meaning all Pokemon worth 9 points or lower, with a few exceptions of course, can terrestrialize into 3 coach-selected types, at least one of which must be Stab. I gave Sandslash Ground, Water, and Ghost Terras, with the latter 2 being a good defensive typing and blocking Rapid Spin respectively. Looking at Raging Bolt's Smogon page again, I saw that it paired well with screens to help it set up Calm Minds, so my next pick was Ribombee. Ribombee's blazing fast 124 base speed means that I'll always get up both screens as long as I hold a Focus Sash, or guarantee that I set up Sticky Webs. It also can slow opponents down with Stun Spore, or even Quiver Dance if the situation arises. Another type that pairs really well with dual screens is Ghost, since it's immune to Brick Break, which is the usual anti-screens tech. I wanted to get Poltegeist, but it was just too expensive for what I had in mind. Therefore, I decided to get Hoopa, which was just 1 point cheaper. That 150 base special attack is definitely attractive, even with its poor base defense and speed. But with proper dual screen support, it can become a huge threat and throw off its dual stabs, with Dazzling Gleam to hit the dark types which would usually wall it. If Hoopa could Terra, it would be fantastic to change its awful defensive typing. Unfortunately, Hoopa happens to be one of a few exceptions to low-tier Terra. Still, I was happy to take on Hoopa in this team. My next pick was a Pokemon which I saw the Weezing-Galar, another Draft League YouTuber, put to incredible use, so I wanted to try it out myself. Rotom gives me another invaluable Stab Volt Switch user, but with Terrestrialization, it can finally put its Levitate ability to good use by changing into a pure Electric, Fairy, or Steel type, yet still being immune to ground. Also, its Stab Hurricane will surely deal heavy damage, right? Yeah, I forgot this thing's form-specific move was the measly Air Slash, not Hurricane, but that'll be dealt with shortly. Also, P.S., this pick was originally Komala, but I swapped it out after Sandslash already gave me my second spinner. Finally, although this league allows coaches to draft up to 12 Pokemon, I decided to end my draft with my 11th pick of Mabostiff. Just pretend this herdier is a Mabostiff, since I couldn't find a good Mabostiff Gen 5 animated GIF. Arven's best pal has 2 useful abilities in Intimidate and Stakeout, the former allowing me to soften damage, with the latter allowing me to deal massive damage if the opponent switches out. It also resists Ghost, which is a key resistance I'm missing, and Mabostiff became my final Terra captain, being able to Terra Dark, Poison, and Water. And that's my team for the TWOW Pokemon Draft League Season 1. Well, it was for a week. After week 1, I went through my team again and I felt unhappy with the last 5 picks. Sandslash and Mabostiff felt much worse in practice than in theory, and Hoopa is not exactly an easy Pokemon to use effectively. Also, I'm unfamiliar with Screen's offense, and so I wasn't the most comfortable using Ribombee, despite how good it was, since this was my first introduction to competitive Draft League after all. That's why right before week 2, I decided to use all my free agency trades to swap Sandslash, Ribombee, Hoopa, Mabostiff, and Rotom for Krookodile, Articuno, Braviary, Coalossal, and Persian. First of all, Krookodile gives me a much stronger ground type, with 2 excellent abilities in Moxie and Intimidate, essentially compressing Sandslash and Mabostiff roles into one much stronger threat. Crook also gives me a proper defensive dark type, since Meowscarada's defenses are paper thin. Next up, Articuno. I actually almost drafted this earlier in the place of Rotom, but decided against it until now. Articuno's type is one of the worst in the game, but with Terra Flying, Water, and Steel, that weakness becomes a thing of the past. My team was lacking good specially defensive pivots besides Jirachi until now, but with 90 HP and 125 Spadef, Articuno fits that role perfectly. Lastly, Freeze Dry and Terra Blast Water hits every Pokemon in the game at least neutrally, allowing me to leverage Articuno as a budget iron bundle of sorts. Third up, Braviary was a Pokemon that I wanted to use after reading its draft analysis page on Smogon. It's a fantastic setup sweeper with both bulk up and agility, and it can even use Sheer Force Life Orb to deal massive damage straight up. My Braviary can Terrestrialize into a flying, fighting, or electric type, the former boosting Brave Birds in close combats, and the latter giving me a great defensive typing for setup opportunities. Coalossal was my next choice, thanks to its access to both Stealth Rocks and Spikes, providing me with another hazard stacker. It also has access to amazing utility in Will-O-Wisp, Flame Body, and Steam Engine, which my opponent always needs to be wary of, lest they boost my speed to incredible levels. Unfortunately, like Articuno, it has a poor defensive typing, but I chose it to be my third Terra captain, able to Terra into Fire, Water, or Ghost type, for good defense and rapid spin blocking. Finally, with only 2 points left, I drafted Persian as my final pick, for real this time. Even with its pitiful defenses and attack, Persian has a great speed tier at 115, making it a fast knockoff and Thunder Wave user, with decently strong fake out thanks to both stab and technician boosts. So that's my final team for the TWOW Pokemon Draft League. What do you think of my first try at draft? And how could I improve for next time? Let me know in the comments below. Also, this is my first long form edited video, so let me know what you enjoyed and what I can improve on to be more entertaining. I'm definitely looking forward to battling with my new roster, but for now, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.